So, well, without further ado, I want to introduce Chris Edwards. And he's going to tell us about Ballers List. And George did want me to mention, so this is Chris's first time in public sharing the idea. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So is people, it doesn't have to be a full scaled out business, all the way run. Just come in and share your ideas with the supporter community. So without further ado, Chris, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here to present my idea to you guys. Again, my name is Chris Edwards. A little bit about myself. Most of my background is sports and philanthropy. I grew up playing sports. Very passionate about basketball, helping people and working with kids. So in 2005, one of the things I did was start a nonprofit organization called the Miller Factory, where we provide programming for at-risk youth. We have classes and seminars where we teach them different life skills. We do mentoring, free basketball camps and clinics, and more recently, I started an AAU program. AAU is an acronym for Amateur Athletic Union. And basically, it's like travel basketball, travel sports. Other sports have it as well, where a lot of competitive kids come together, form teams in the spring and summer. They travel around the country, play against other competitive teams, and compete for college scholarships in most cases. When I started the program in 2015, I only had one team, and I really just did it for my son. My son wanted to get more involved in basketball, so I was like, hey, I play AAU. I know all the AAU guys around. I'll put you in it. Well, my team wasn't that good, right? We were playing 8th grade, but I had 6th and 7th graders all playing up 8th grade, and it was most of their first time playing AAU, so we were getting blown out in most cases. I'm a really intense competitor, right? So people that knew me saw me and was like, man, like, you know, I was frustrated because I'm getting whooped on, and my team, they didn't really care. They just having fun. I'm frustrated, pulling my hair, getting gray hair. I'm like, man, we got to compete. But the next year, my program grew from 1 team to 10 teams, and I didn't try. Like, I didn't try to go recruit players. I didn't try to ask people to come coach for me. But it was just a lot of people knew me. They respected me. They understood, how much of a competitor I was and how much I cared about basketball. So they brought their whole teams, they brought their kids, coaches came over. And so literally something that I started as trying to be a good parent turned into this full-fledged thing that I couldn't turn off, right? With that, we have over 120 boys and girls in our program, ages 8 to 18. And today we've helped over 30 kids obtain college scholarships.
Wow.
So what I did, change the way you play sports. That's my goal here. By creating a platform where people can easily search, locate, and participate in sports more efficiently. Why I did it? To fill a void. Navigating youth sports can be very confusing if you're not fully engulfed in it, right? And as a director of my organization, most families look for me to oversee their child's entire youth basketball experience. Now, again, this is something that just was kind of thrust upon me. So, most of the time, parents will ask the same questions a lot of times. I'm looking for a camp to get into. I'm looking for a trainer to help my son get better. I'm looking for a league. I'm looking for this. But they're all generally looking for something to help their kid get better and to compete at a high level, right? The difference is that depending on how old you are, your needs is a little different. The younger the kids, they're looking for more development, but the older kids are looking for more exposure. When you're looking for exposure, there's a few things that you have to take into consideration, which is recruiting, NCAA live periods, and shoe sponsorships. And this is when it comes to basketball, but it also transcends in other sports as well, where they have the same political things going on that you have to understand if you want your child to participate and excel. And with that here, a couple things I want to point out is that with recruiting, NCAA has put this different regulations on how you can recruit, when you can recruit, how coaches can communicate with parents and vice versa. It used to be 5 weeks during the springtime and summer that college coaches can recruit your child. Now they dwindled it down to 3. As far as AAU, and now camps have the other weeks where you need to go and participate at these events in order to, try to obtain a college scholarship. And lastly, shoe sponsorships. Nike, Under Armour, and Adidas is very big players in youth basketball. And if you want to play at a high level or get recruited, you generally want to play for a team that's sponsored by one of those shoe programs. They have tournaments that only their sponsored teams could go to. And it's, most of the college coaches who are like the Mike Krzyzewskis, the who's who of college coaches, they generally go to the shoe sponsored events to recruit kids. And if you're not sponsored by a shoe company, you still can play in NCAA live period events. College coaches can still come recruit you, but you're just not invited to that elite tournament that the shoe sponsored teams are invited to. And again, these are all things that you have to take into consideration when you're getting your child into sports. So it's 5 ways to achieve these goals. AAU/travel teams is one thing that I was just covering. Camps, leagues, tournaments, and training. Most of this is done online. Most of it is done through social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and organizations' websites. And when you're navigating through this, as you can see here, most companies use a combination of the 4 platforms, but very few use all 4, right? What I found that it was difficult to search social media for, if I was looking again for a AAU team in Columbus, Ohio. It's hard to just go to Instagram and type in Columbus, Ohio AAU and get the results that you're looking for, right? Obviously you can do that on Google, right? But then it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. And another point I learned that through my experiences dealing with all these kids and all these parents, it's a lot of older parents, it's a lot of grandparents raising kids, so they're just not technology savvy. So when it comes to locating different resources and things like that, it's just an uphill battle for some people. Also, most organizations often miss their intended target of marketing. I'm gonna go back. And here, as you see, I have asterisks, is that what I've learned is that most parents are on Facebook, the kids are on Instagram, and the college coaches are on Twitter. And you have to understand that to, market the right way. And if you put certain information on wrong platforms, you're going to miss the intended target. Also, with social medias, they control what you see. So, when you're searching on certain things on social media, you don't really get to see everything you want to see based on the corporations that's paying for ads or, whatever influence is behind what they want you to see. They control it. You don't really control what you get to see. So a lot of what I'm trying to do here is build a community where people with similar interests can come together and share information, and also where businesses can advertise their services to people who are actually interested in their services. As of now, we've invested about $20,000. That went into starting a business, legal consulting, trademarking, branding, and then most of the bulk of that went to the app development. So the history of Ballersless. So this idea pretty much conceived and came about in May of 2019. I kind of toyed with it prior to, but one thing that happened to me in May that kind of initiated all of this is that I tore my Achilles playing basketball. And with that, it was long recovery time. I'm still going recovery. I actually had physical therapy this morning. But I had a lot of time on my hands. So I was like, I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to, waste this time. And at first I was devastated, right? I'm like, Achilles, I never broke a bone. I never got hurt. All the years I did anything, never had an injury. And I was just, regular pickup game. I was grabbing the rebound, went to turn, and my leg popped. Next thing you know, I'm in the house for 3 months. So during that time, I just read books, I listened to podcasts, and just tried to educate myself as much as possible. So one of the books that I read was called Click Millionaires, and it gave me a lot of information on how to profit off free things on the internet using advertising, affiliate marketing, different ways to profit off of free things on the internet. So I was like, the idea came to me, and I'm like, yo, put it together. So in June, I started going online. I started researching different app developers. I found a particular article that had maybe like 40 different developers worldwide that were like kind of up and coming. So what I did was I went and towards the middle. I didn't want to go to the top because I knew I didn't have the top money, right? And one thing I picked up through maybe listening, I think Gary Vee talked about, kind of going around the middle range, because you never know, who's in control of what list and why, who's at the top and why, who influenced those decisions. So I vetted a few, and then I ultimately chose some developers in India. So we Skype all the time. Before I actually decided to go with them, we Skyped quite a few times. I talked to some companies that they had done business with and some referrals. They spoke highly of them. So I finally decided to go ahead and do business with that company. So in July, I formed a partnership with one of my closest friends. His name is Nader Carpenter. He couldn't be here today. But he's kind of like a big brother to me. Our birthday is like a day apart, and he's always been in tech. He worked in tech like his whole adult life. And I feel like in embarking on this journey, he would probably be like one of the closest and perfect people that I could do this with, that could understand and help guide me through it if I had any questions as well. So in August of 2019, we filed our articles of incorporation. In September, we began app development, and as of now, we're probably about 90-95% done with the app, and it should be going to beta this month, and it should be available to download on iOS and Android within 30 days. So here's a few screenshots of the app. Obviously, this is like a menu screen where you can choose where you want to go within the app. Here is links to our social medias and our website. Here is the events feed. So it'll kind of function like Instagram, where if you slide up, you can see more entries that's there. It has a little bit of information about the organization that you're looking for on the cover page. But once you click on this is basically like your profile within the app, where again, on the back end, you can put links to all your social medias and your website here. So as someone is scrolling through our platform, they come across your profile, they click on it, they want to get connected to your Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all they have to do is click on that. We have in-app browsing, so when someone does click on that, just a screen pops up, it goes right to your social media. You can log into your social media right then and there, and you can follow whatever social media profile that you click on, so that when you're actually on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you're already following this. That way you can become more familiar with the company, the organization, and that way, you feel more comfortable putting your child in a certain situation. You can also register on our platform. So I didn't have enough space to put all the screens on here, but here you will be able to click here, take you to another page where it details what you would be getting, how much it costs, and then you can actually book the services on our platform. And this is just an extension of the profile page. So like when you scroll down further, it has location, and then it also has links to other services. One thing I found is that most organizations don't just offer one service. They either, like if they do AAU travel teams, they probably offer camps and training as well. Or if they do camps, they may offer leagues and training, a combination of the five. So what I wanted to do was make sure each organization had the proper space to promote whatever service it was. So as you can see, again, this is for AAU travel teams here. So this would be my AAU travel team page. And if I had offered training here, you can see that at the bottom, and here you would be able to click here, and it would take you to my training profile, where it looked very similar to this, where it has information about training. This information would be different. Say if we charge $25 a training session, for example, everything would be different. However, my AAU page will also be under the other services once you went to the training page. So it all kind of interlinks. It's like a web, right? Also, one thing that I would like to point out is that you'll be able to leave a rating or write reviews. I think that's one thing that's important. A lot of times in youth sports, you kind of go into the situation blindly. Like you don't really get to, unless you know someone. There's not much online that you can go get and understand about this organization before you actually put your child in there. A few more slides, and this will help you search. I just went back just so I could point this out. So say for example, you push the search icon here. This is where it will take you, and this is how you can narrow your search to help you find exactly what you're looking for. So for example, you can search by sport. So you can click a certain sport that you want to tap into, and you also click multiple sports. If you have multiple children and you were looking for multiple sports to get them involved in, this is just an extension of that. More sports here. Then you have your type, which is AAU travel teams, /travel teams, camps, leagues, tournaments, also training. And then not lastly, you have male and female, gender, and then lastly you have age. And obviously I discussed mostly about kids because that's where a lot of my inspiration has derived from. However, we will offer content for adults as well. And that's it. My email is ballersthis1@gmail.com. We also have Instagram and Twitter, but we haven't posted much content on there yet, so I didn't put that up there, but pretty much that's it.
That's awesome. Good job, Chris.
Have any questions?
I got a ton of
Yes.
questions, but I don't. Wow. So your background prior to this was just, and not just, but was with doing the camps. Did you have any IT experience or any?
Zero. Most of my experience has just being an entrepreneur. I went to school, University of Cincinnati, in Ohio State. Business administration was my major. So mostly just entrepreneur stuff in the past. I've owned a shoe store and a barbershop, other entrepreneurial ventures, but no tech at all.
The timeline is quite impressive.
It's aggressive, yeah.
Being in that field myself for many years, that's super quick. That's super quick to get to stage here. And how can I get on the beta list? I want to be a beta user.
Absolutely. I got you. Absolutely.
I'll save the rest of my questions for later.
I'm not quite sure if this is feasible due to copyright issues, but if on the slide on your screenshot where you can click the social medias, is there a way that if you wanted to follow one league, like if there's like, I don't know, a Western UUA or AAU team, like that you could have all their socials feed into their page on there? So like you could have their Twitter posts like pop up with a link like this post and the link to the actual Twitter, or like this Instagram, so like all the things from all that league's social media go into a list under them?
Not on my platform right now currently. I have seen that on other platforms where like you can actually integrate your social media onto their platform. But no, I didn't incorporate that into the social media.
It could
into my platform.
come probably. I just wasn't sure if that was a thing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me here, I just like the clean look. I feel like these icons are very like, universal, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I learned through the process of this is in that browsing. So on this, when someone clicks on there, again, that social media will pop right up really quickly, and it take you right to that page. They can follow it right there. So even though it's not integrated into my app and on that profile, it's still there.
Do you have it where every time you click on a thing you have to re-log in, or do you have it where it'll save your information so you can go straight to your profile to follow them?
Actually, right now, when you log in, after you're logged out for quite a bit of time, it logs you out automatically. However, ironically, that's something that we actually brought up this week, was that we want people to stay logged in if they didn't log out. So that's something that we're going to bring
Yeah,
into the
I was wondering, like, if you're clicking on different teams and you want to look at 4 teams' Instagrams, you don't have to log in 4 times
no.
to Instagram.
I thought you meant the app itself.
No.
Once you're logged into your social media on our platform, you're logged into your social media. So as you continue to search and you go to different profiles and you click different profiles, Twitter or Instagram, you don't have to keep signing in to follow them at that point.
Good. Okay.
Absolutely.
Can you?
Go ahead.
Just real quick, can you touch on who is paying for your service and who is consuming the service?
Well, right now it's free. If you're asking how we would get paid right now, we're looking at affiliate marketing, right? Ads, and then we're looking to make a small percentage off of the transactions that take place on our platform.
Okay.
And maybe in the future, we discussed, maybe charging a fee for like the businesses, not the users. If it grows really big and it's very profitable and the businesses are
When it grows really big.
when excuse me.
I was
I
like, yeah,
didn't
this is
realize,
gonna blow up,
I didn't
man.
realize I said that.
Yeah, no, this is gonna blow up.
Thank you, I appreciate
Yeah, no
it.
worries.
So yeah, I just didn't want to turn a lot of people away. I realized that a lot of apps are free now, and in-app purchases is like the wave. So I didn't want to like charge to download it or be too, thirsty for money. I'm more so concerned about users and just people getting the platform out there.
Right here.
So my first question is the scale that you plan on doing. Are you launching in Columbus only and then hoping to go to more cities? And then sort of as a second question, in those other cities, do you think you'll be crowdsourcing events, or how do you plan on sort of providing services through your app?
Well, yes, we definitely intended on to start small. And then I think a lot of the scale has a lot to do with our, investments and how much money we can spend on marketing. I'm looking for the network effect, right? So I'm looking for the more people involved, the more powerful it can be. And we kind of play with the idea of kind of maybe taking a page from maybe like a LinkedIn, right, where we could upload information there, and people could, if I say, for example, if I didn't own Miller Factory, but we put Miller Factory's content on our site, but then I would try to contact Miller Factory and say, hey, this is your profile, you want to take it over, try to verify who that person is, so that way when users go to the platform, it's not empty, right? But then we're influencing other businesses to put their information on there as well. So yes, we're definitely going to start local, and I think mostly what we discussed was targeting certain cities to go after in terms of marketing, and hopefully it grows organic then, but a lot of that is determined by our access to funding to market properly in bigger markets.
You mentioned that your partner had been in the tech world for some time, so I was just curious how you guys are portioning your responsibilities in the company right now, and what other people resources you think you need?
We actually haven't put together an operating agreement, and right before this, my partner decided to go back to school for like I forget, some tech involved, some certification, I don't know. So right now we just kind of going along, it's just us two, right? So I mean, right now because he's in school, I'm taking a lot of the workload, but I don't mind. A lot of it's my baby anyway, you know what I mean? So, and he's my friend. I know he's taking these courses, for good reasons. So he'll be able to use the things that he's learning to also help us when he's done as well. So as of now, most of the workload is on me, but again, I don't mind because it's my baby. Oh wait, he been waiting for a while.
So you might have answered this a little bit already, but how are you getting teams, camps, and like trainers onto the app? Are you like scraping the internet for them, or are they coming to you and saying we want to come onto this app? How are you getting people?
Well, we haven't gotten anyone yet,
Okay.
right? But most of what we've done thus far is research the internet ourselves. So
Okay.
like me and my partner, we split up different sports, and we've created spreadsheets and just build data, website, Instagram, Twitter, email, contact name, phone number, and we both have spreadsheets that's pretty extensive. But we're hoping to, once we put the information out there, that it just grows organically.
Because if money, I'm not going to tell you to run your business, but if money becomes an issue, you could have the possibility of like a premium listing. Like say, if you want to come to the top of a search result, kind of like Google, that you can pay a fee for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually in our business plan. I just didn't bring it up
Okay.
here. But I learned a lot about that's again part of the way to how to make money is to offer a premium version. So like one of the features that I actually didn't cover is that in order to add a rating or review, you have to be a premium member, right?
That'd be good.
And it made sense to me to where anybody could just come and leave a comment.
Right.
And if you're a paying member, you're a premium member, you should deserve to voice your opinion.
Right.
How are you looking, or how are you marketing to the users of the app? Like, how are you getting those people?
I haven't marketed to them yet, but I mean, I think that my pitch is going to be, we're creating a platform where your marketing is going directly to the intended people that you're trying to use. Again, I feel like a lot of times I watch a lot of organizations miss the intended target of their marketing using the wrong platform through social media. But at least here, they'll know that the people that's looking at their profile actually wants their information.
Yes, but how do you get people to download your app? How do they know it's out there? That's what I'm asking.
We have a very extensive marketing plan. A lot of different ways. Even here, you'll be able to, this is like a share feature right here. So like when you're in the app, you can actually text it right to someone, right from your phone. We're going to take advantage of the App Store, where you can market in there. You can actually now place videos in the market, in the App Store, not just pictures. And quite a few, we have a very extensive marketing plan to where we intend to try to solicit businesses to use our services.
One of the things which I think is actually kind of old school but might work for you is even like targeting libraries and schools where like elementary, middle, and high where student athletes are that want to get involved. Like even something as simple as like a pamphlet that's sitting on it in the office sort of thing could get you people who don't know or want to get involved in sports but don't have the technology to necessarily know to look at certain places or have a modern system. They can say, oh, there's this thing I can get involved with. Like, do you remember when, I don't know if that was, like they're in elementary school, there's a pamphlet, like extracurricular activities or mom goes to pick you up, they look through them sort of thing. Even something as old school as that could like help people who don't know about it find your app.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
How do people find out about AAU programs now?
Really just through word of mouth. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because like, when it comes to AAU, there's no, so AAU is an acronym, again, for Amateur Athletic Union, right? And that's an organizing body that pretty much used to run AAU when AAU started in like the 70s, right? And it goes across different sports, not just basketball. But now AAU only hosts maybe probably 5 to 10% of the actual tournaments that exist out there, but it just kind of took over the name. So most people have tournaments. Like I could host a tournament right now, and I can get a lot of teams to come, a lot of people to pay, and people would consider the AAU tournament, but I'm not affiliated with the Amateur Athletic Union. Right now, the Amateur Athletic Union only hosts tournaments in Florida for the most part at the Disney Wide World of Sports, and those events are kind of considered like the national championship. So they might host maybe 10 to 20 tournaments a summer, but there are like thousands of tournaments every weekend from February to the end of July. And none of those tournaments are considered AAU. So with that being said, as I was embarking on this journey, I realized that there's no database to where you can just go get information on AAU. Like you can't go and find all the AAU teams, say here in Columbus, Ohio, for example. And on the Amateur Athletic Union website, they have a semi-database of AAU teams. But what I found is that the database that they have, because they actually posted on their website, is only of teams that has previously participated in their events, which isn't a lot because most people don't participate in the national championships. And then a lot of the links were broken. So like a lot of the teams I was trying to click on and get to their information, I couldn't get there, right? So again, there's no place you can go to get information about AAU. You just have to know somebody, you have to be familiar with the process yourself, but you can't just go online and just get like a rule book of who you should take your son to, why this team is important, why this tournament is important better than this one, because more scouts come to this one versus that one. It's just, you got to kind of know once you get in it and learn it but it's not a quick fix where you can just go and get information. Which, again, helped embark me on this journey. Because even here, I didn't take a screenshot of the screen, but on the home screen is where we intended to have different information in regards to the different youth sports to help educate people in regards to it as well.
And I have one more question. Are you starting off, I can't remember if you said, are you starting off with basketball and then expanding to like other sports, or like what do you plan to do there?
Well, we actually, basketball is my expertise, so I'll probably have more information there to start. But when me and my partner, we actually split up the 10 different sports that we have listed on our site. And we both have been doing a lot of research to try to build our databases on all 10 sports that we have listed. So, yeah, probably starting out, basketball will probably be the most extensive, but you don't want it to stay that way.
It seems like you intend to have children as part of your users, so I'm wondering if you've taken any considerations of protective features on your app. Like, I know there's the Child Online Privacy Act and things of that nature. So have you considered integrating anything into your app to like help protect children from?
Absolutely. We haven't decided on anything specific yet, but like we've had multiple meetings with our developers, and that is a major concern of ours. One thing that I discussed with them more recently was like a way like people can help police each other. So like, for example, on Instagram, if there was a page with explicit content, you could report that page. Everybody in this room could report that page. Instagram will get it, and then they'll be like, okay, this is not okay, let me delete this, right? So we're definitely looking into ways to make it safe for everyone, and then ways that the users can help us keep it safe for everyone too.
Take my money, first of all. So I've got 4 kids under 10, and all of them, since the oldest, have been in some form of youth sports every year. And anybody that's a parent and has done this will know. I can't express how frustrating it is to make a wrong decision on putting your child into a sport. You pick the wrong league, the wrong program, whatever, because you're stuck. Because you've already missed signups for the other one. So you have to go that whole season, whatever it is, with the child in that sport and just deal with it. That's a whole season gone. And if there was, I would pay cash money to have the ability to go through reviews from people I know have been through it and so on, right? So how can I best? Second of all, getting the app into people's hands, get some street warriors, man. Go hit the I-9s, the whatevers, and put people, I will be your first poster child out there with a little kiosk telling people about this app.
Awesome.
Because it's going to benefit me, the more people that get on it, as my kids continue to grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's your biggest marketing right there, in my opinion, is get the people that need it, because they'll understand it right out the gate, right? And they'll help build it.
So my son plays football, and I have an app called Huddle where I get to watch clips of him.
Man.
I would never have known about the app. I would never seen advertising for it. I would never thought to download it, except for the fact that he told me to get it because the coaches are putting clips on there.
Yeah.
So who stands to gain the most from this? The players, parents, coaches, and the organizations that are hosting these. Out of those, who stands to gain the most? Well, if I'm running an organization or an event, I want to get people to it that are going to pay. That's how I run my event. They're paying for it. So they've got to take the initiative. Like, they stand to benefit a ton from this.
Absolutely.
And so if the coaches and the organizations are encouraging coaches, hey parents, go download this app. I think that's going to be one of your most effective strategies, because like advertising in the App Store is incredibly difficult. Consumers are extremely fickle.
Yeah.
You've got to go to the people that stand to gain a lot from these, and parents are going to want to know about it, but they're not going to know about it until the coaches and the organizations are telling them to go download this, because they need to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. One of the things, like, again, because I actually still coach, right? So my season is actually starting up right now, but our tournaments start next month. And the high school teams, we travel a lot more than the younger teams. The younger teams more so stay local because they're in it for development, not necessarily exposure.
Right.
Older kids look for exposure. So every weekend from like the end of March to June, and then in July, we're in a different city: Chicago, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, Pittsburgh, quite a few other cities, right? So in a lot of these tournaments, it's thousands of kids running around. Thousands.
Can I travel with you and set up the booth?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's where I'm going with this. I'm like, I told all my coaches and my guys, I said, man, as soon as our game is over, I'm taking this Miller Factory off and I'm ballers list. We got a table, we passing out information because all those people are there at one time, and just like you said, all those people understand this already. They already know what they go through. They have the same frustrations that I've dealt with, so I think they'll be able to appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think she was first.
I'm sorry. So I know, especially with my brother and I, we played soccer growing up. We always played soccer. And there are 2 seasons of the year, fall and spring, and there are tournaments, at least at the end of the season, 2 or 3, every season.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, at some points, if our parents were so annoyed with our league, they would be looking around to see if there were other teams that they thought looked better or more organized.
Absolutely.
So even having like soccer, basketball, football, all these tournaments or games that schools and have around the city, you can easily set up a booth and be like, hey, if you're frustrated with your league or if you need help or have any questions about how to find these different resources, look at my app. I swear, like you said, if you have 1 or 2 people working these booths who are parents or who are former athletes who have been through this, they will be way more likely to listen and sign up, especially if they're already frustrated at a tournament.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't have to pay me, just give me premium.
So I don't know nothing about sports, okay? But I'm assuming that it's a ticket to get into these tournaments or get into these different things.
As a parent to play,
Yeah,
or
as a parent,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So have you considered teaming up with every facility that's selling the tickets to be able to have them give a ticket and a small little something to say download this app?
I haven't, but that's
Right.
a great idea.
I would do that. Another thing I would do is have a street team putting flyers on people's cars as well. Because you got 1,000 people at the tournament. So how many cars do you actually have?
Absolutely.
Right? So that would be, I mean, that's easy work.
Yeah.
I call that easy work in the sales game. So I would look forward, try to partner up with the ticket people. If you even buying the tickets and say, I buy the tickets, but you got to pass these out or something along those lines. About 2
And
cents.
then your biggest cost is just printing, and that can be pretty affordable if you do it in scale.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, well, whew, I got a lot more, man, but we'll see. So the last question that we ask at 1 Million Cups for every presenter is what can we as a community do to help you out with this endeavor?
Man, honestly, I think you guys helped me out already. I mean, this was my first time presenting it. So even just breaking the ice and just giving me an opportunity to share with you guys and be more comfortable with, my platform, that's one. I feel like you guys have asked some great questions and challenging, so, it gave me some things to think about, that's 2. And then 3, once we get it going, use it, share it with people. I'm sure I'll share it with him and he'll be able to, email it, blast it out to whomever. And if, you like it, you're interested, use it, share it, and enjoy it.
Awesome, thanks,
Great
Chris.
job, Chris.